So last night I did my very third ever stand-up comedy set or bit or piece or whatever it's meant to be called. And the first time I did this was over a year ago, back in, I think it was February 2025. And then lots of life stuff happened, and so I had to put everything on hold for a little bit. So about 6 or 8 weeks ago, I gave it another go, and it went pretty good again. I'm not going to say, like I killed it or something, but it went pretty good for my second time, I feel. And then last night I really struggled before going on, and I nearly was going to cancel going, because when I did my very first set back in February last year, I was talking about something that had happened with some students at school. And I thought, I can't do the same thing again because I've already done it. It's just not right. It's just not okay. And so I didn't. And I did something completely different. And when I did it 8 weeks ago, I felt like I was trying to squash a lot of information into 5 minutes. 5 minutes goes really quick. And I've noticed that in dancing as well, when you learn a choreography or design a choreography, and then when you do it, and it takes 2, 3, 1, however long minutes, but you've spent so long preparing for it, choreographing it, designing costumes, teaching your team if you've got a team, rehearsals back and forth and discussions back and forth, and then finally you get to perform and it's 3 minutes or something, and you get into the routine, and then you're suddenly thinking, oh my god, it's almost over, but it feels like we only just started. My phone keeps going bleh, flopping down, and I find that quite fascinating, that it's the same with comedy. I have so much to learn, oh my goodness. The one thing that stuck with me though is that it's one thing to be funny as improvising, like making funny things up on the spot, or coming back with quips, or suddenly, just responding in a funny way to somebody. That's kind of like one, I don't even want to say skill set, but that's one way of doing comedy. But the other is, I'm going to have to hold my camera up because it keeps flopping down. It's a similar story with some of the men I've met. Anyway, sorry, off track. What I found is that being able to just, respond with a funny comment to somebody and have them laugh is one thing. And I spoke to the guy that was running the room last night, Jeff, and he was saying to me that when you're among people who that know you well, when you are, telling a story about your life or telling something funny, because they already know you, they trust you, and they already have a relationship with you, and they know who you are. So sometimes those stories to those people will come across as much more relatable and hilarious and funny. Not like my phone that keeps flopping down. But when you're telling it to a room full of strangers or people that you've never met before, it's a very different scenario. You've kind of got to prove to them that they can trust you, and that, I guess what you're going to say is going to make them laugh. And I thought that was really valuable information, because, when you're constructing comedy, I suppose, for me, there's a million hilarious stories in my life, but like Jeff said to me, if people know me and they know my history and they know the kind of person that I am, they can relate to that, and they can get involved in that story, and they can feel like, yeah, we get where she's coming from. But when you're with a room full of strangers, people you don't know, that you've never met before, and trying to bring them on that journey, it's really, really different. So creating comedy, constructing it and then delivering it, it's really different. And the thing that I'm finding hard, and it's only my third time last night, is that it's very common for comedians, especially at open mic nights, to take material that they've already done and they're tweaking it. So like the open mic, which I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, that open mic nights are actually for the purpose of comedians to try out material to improve, maybe something they've already done, or just try out new stuff and see how it goes. Because the thing is, when you practice, like when you write it down on paper, get it out of your memory, get it out of your idea onto the paper, it exists on the paper, so it's gotten out of your mind and onto the paper, which is great. You've written it with your pencil, and they say that that's actually a really valuable tool as well, just for remembering things. And then you draft your thing that you're going to say. Then you're practicing on your own in your lounge room, or into a voice note, or to your camera maybe, and there's no response from anybody. You're just thinking, I don't know if this is funny or not. So last night, the thing that I found hard to manage was I'd practiced everything. I'd even practiced where I would pause. I practiced where I thought people might think it's funny and laugh. And luckily enough, most people did find the things I thought they'd find funny, which was good. But when they laugh, you go, oh, like inside, you don't go, oh, you're laughing. But in your mind, you're like, oh, wow, they laughed at that. Oh, they're actually laughing. Oh, they're still laughing. Oh, and then you get all caught up in the fact that they laughed, that then you're like, oh, crap, where was I up to? What was I doing? Because last night was the first night I've done a set with no notes, and that was a challenge. I wrote them on the back of an envelope. I had my notebook. The first time I did comedy, I had this massive, humongous, big notebook because I'm like, I'm so scared. I need my notebook. So I had this massive notebook, and I'm like turning the pages in my notebook. And I thought, well, I'm talking about being a teacher, so it kind of goes with being a teacher. And then the next time I had the notes on my phone, and the phone kept you know how if you turn it this way, it won't go back up the right way. So that happened. And then last night I was like, no, you've got to do without your notes. But the thing that I think helped me was to just stick to one idea, because on that second one, so the very first one I did, I stuck to one idea, story about this particular student and this thing that happened. Then the next time, I think I had 3 or 4 different ideas that I was trying to squish into 5 minutes. And I think that really made it far more difficult than it should have been. Because I think all the ideas were good and solid, but trying to get the meat out of it, if you know what I mean, in that time span was a bit tricky. So the thing I found that worked better last night was that I stuck to one topic, or premise, I suppose is what they call it. I go to a comedy workshop, I'm like, what's a premise? And I'm a school teacher. Oh my God, that's terrible. Anyway, I just wanted to, I guess, document my little journey into comedy. It's not a little journey, I'm quite serious about it. Pardon me. I do want to see what I can do, I guess. And yeah, it's harder than I anticipated, trying to, put all of your ideas into action and I guess materialize it so that people can have a nice time. Because I love the idea that I can create a space where people will laugh and feel happy. I think that's really cool. I think that's the best thing ever. Anyway, and that is episode 1 of me thinking about, what do I think about this comedy situation? I hope you enjoyed my wonderful share. Bye.